On Friday, I told you that this petition against Tesla just didn't feel right. It felt fishy, and sure enough, it was. I got a ton of stuff to be talking to you about Tesla today, and where my thoughts are on where it's going from here, coming up. That's right, guys. Tesla is trading out of its mind yet again. It just keeps doubling and doubling and doubling. And so I think it leads the question, okay, what do I do if I'm already invested in Tesla? Where's a good selling point? Should I get out? Should I stay in? If I'm not in Tesla, where do I get in at? Should I even bother with it anymore? I'm going to answer all of those questions and more. But first, I want to welcome you to this channel. Hi, my name is Brad, and this is Own the Chaos. The stock market and the world of finance is a crazy and chaotic place, and I've made it my mission to help you own it. So if you want to see more content such as this, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You know what to do. I certainly would appreciate it. Okay, on to today's topic. So there's a couple things that I need to address. So if you guys went and watched the video that I put out on Friday when I talked about this petition that was filed on safety concerns of unwanted acceleration on all Tesla vehicles, the petition was submitted to the NHTSA, which I explained that, and you can go ahead and watch that video here. I think it's really cool if you go back and watch that video first and come back to watch this one, just because it ties in together so perfectly. I can't make this stuff up, guys. When I say the stock market is crazy and chaotic, I mean it. So turns out that the NHTSA petition was submitted by a short seller. So if we go and look at this article right here that was put out by cleantechnica.com, among many other media outlets, this is just the one that I chose. But it says here that Tesla short seller Brian Sparks reportedly does not own a Tesla himself. Nonetheless, he has collected claims of SUA in Tesla vehicles and submitted them in a petition to the NHTSA. This is something anyone can do to ask that a matter be investigated. I'll leave you to try to determine why such a person would do that when they don't even own a vehicle in question, but do short the company's stock. Now, this guy has been seen on CNBC shorting, the known shorter. So of course, I told you guys last week that this just didn't feel right, that this seemed like this was some sort of setup, and sure enough, it was. And so it's just crazy to me to think about stuff like this. People always talk about how, penny stocks are manipulated and all this other stuff, and like to, crap on penny stocks a lot. Now, I trade penny stocks and billboard stocks. I love it all. It's just funny. The same thing happens no matter what the price of the stock is, right? There's just deeper pockets that are involved when you're looking at something like Tesla or Apple or whatever. But what's crazy to me is that if you're short selling Tesla right now and you're betting on this going back into the 200s, which there are plenty of people that are, it just blows my mind. I think there's a lot of people that are instilling fear of others because of the disruption that Tesla is creating. And I wanted to kind of illustrate this in a way that kind of makes you, if you're interested in shorting Tesla, first of all, I always say the first rule when trading Tesla is to just not short Tesla. And the reason for this being is because it's such a disruptor and it's creating such a crazy movement that we haven't seen. And for me personally, I'm quite enjoying being on the right side of history. And what I mean by that is if we take something as simple as coffee, now bear with me, if we take something as simple as coffee and look at it over history and see how people viewed coffee then versus now, I think this starts to paint a picture and ties in what's going on with Tesla and how they are going to unequivocally change the way that we travel in the future. Now, as far as my illustration on coffee is concerned, coffee was actually viewed as something that was extremely negative, was actually banned, a few hundred years ago in several different countries. And I'm going to give you one more example that is that was quite a disruptor, and it just plays into the psychology of what's going on here and what people are viewing Tesla as today. So in Italy in the 16th century, clergymen thought that it was satanic. Coffee was satanic. Pope Clement VIII took a taste and declared that it was delicious and that it should be baptized. I don't know how you baptize coffee, but hey, whatever. Coffee houses then sprang up everywhere from that point on because the Pope said it was okay. Then you go in Constantinople, which this one blows my mind. Murad IV claimed the Ottoman throne back in 1623. So when you look at it, it really wasn't that long ago. It's the 1600s, which is a long time, but in the grand scheme of the history of the earth, it really wasn't that long ago. Coffee was forbidden, and he set up, penalties that were probably reasonable, I guess, for the time, for drinking coffee. Your first offense on drinking coffee back then was that you just got a beating. You just got a beating. Like, they loved to give beatings out back then. So if you're drinking coffee and you're caught for the first time, you just got a beating and you got sent on your way. Okay, whatever. Sorry about that. If you got caught the second time for drinking coffee, you were sewn into a leather bag and then thrown into the Gulf. You were thrown into, what's called Bosporus. It's a strait that's in between the Gulf, tied into a leather bag and thrown into the water for drinking coffee and getting caught the second time for it. 1623. In 1746, it was banned in Sweden, and convicted murderers were ordered to drink coffee while doctors monitored them to see how long it would take to kill them. Needless to say, that doctors were extremely bored, and these murderers actually ended up living a long and healthy life. So you get what I'm saying here. Secondly, if we go to another example and we look at the invention of tractors and how that impacted just the United States, before tractors came along, it was horses that did all the work. They plowed the fields, and that's how farmers made a living. That was coming into the industrial period of our country. That was the basis of the United States, was farming the land, and horses were it. And then the tractor comes along and disrupts all of that again. In 1990, the Horse Association of America fought until 1940 to keep the horses in their roles, to try to get rid of tractors. So much so that in 1921 they hosted a race to plow a 10-acre seedbed as fast as possible, right? Needless to say, the tractor kicked everybody's ass, and it was so hot that day that 5 horses ended up dying. And they kept trying to fight this until 1940. The tractor was brought about into the early 1900s, and they fought this until 1940. There was commercials about this. It was unbelievable. So much so that they were convinced that the military still needed a cavalry and would always need one. Boy, were they ever wrong. And so this is what I'm talking about. This is the time that we're living in with Tesla. It's so disruptive that you have people that just can't get a hold of the fact that of the need for change, right? Everybody's afraid of change. There's that fear of the unknown, and that's what's happening here with Tesla. That's why people are short on it. They want this to fail, and it's not going to. I'm telling you, it's not going to fail. And so I know that was a little wordy, but I mean, you think about all the things that are disruptive throughout history, and Tesla is just another part of that now. And it's more than just a car company. They have it's an energy company, it's a battery company, and it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And finally, there are car companies that are getting on board with Tesla and taking them seriously now. For example, the CEO of Volkswagen, if we read an article that came out by Yahoo Finance this morning, that Tesla's market value has climbed above Volkswagen's for the first time to more than $100 billion, a threshold that will trigger a huge payoff for Elon Musk if he can sustain the feat for months. The electric car maker's shares rose as much as 8.6% on Wednesday to a new intraday high of $594.50. At that price, Tesla's market capitalization was roughly $107.2 billion, exceeding Volkswagen's $99.4 billion and trading only on Toyota Motor Core. And here's what I find really respectable of Volkswagen CEO. While Musk skeptics are dubious that Tesla will be worth more than a car maker that's sold almost 30 times as many vehicles last year, Volkswagen's own Herbert Diess isn't so dismissive. He's been arguably the most vocal CEO among traditional car makers to praise Tesla and point to its role in radical shakeup of more than a century-old industry. After 3 months ago, Tesla was no niche manufacturer anymore. Diess told Volkswagen executives that an internal meeting in Germany last week that connected vehicles will almost double the time consumers spent online, and that cars will become the most important mobile device. Think about that. This would no longer be the most important mobile device in the world globally. It's going to be your vehicle. And the more that I thought about that, the more it made sense. I mean, think about what you can do in a Tesla right now. You can play tic-tac-toe as you're driving along, and the car's taking you to your own destination without the element of humans being involved in it. It's safer. As I stated before, you're 40% less likely to get into a car crash if you own a Tesla, as 96% of all car crashes are at the fault of humans. And so this is just an evolutionary leap, guys. And, as far as wanting to invest in Tesla, I still think that if you wanted to invest in Tesla, that it is not too late, that I know that $6,000 a share sounds insane to me too. I don't think that's going to happen within the next 5 years. I think it will happen within the next 10 years, which valuates this company at $1 trillion when you take into everything else that they have into account. Transportation as a service is going to be a thing, so watch out Uber and Lyft, because if Tesla actually starts to develop a transportation as a service with autonomous vehicles, they will be obsolete. There will be no Lyft or Uber, so that will happen. I truly believe that will happen. So there's so much that this company is going to be capable of because of the innovations and inventions they've made. It's funny that still people are not taking them seriously. So if you were to ask me about investing in Tesla, again, the first thing that I would tell you is that the first rule in trading Tesla is to not short Tesla. And so yes, still I'm still very bullish on this. I still think that we could see, we could see $1,000 on this thing before the end of the year. That would be incredible. You know, when you're looking at it from, is it too overextended? I do think that we're going to be due for a pullback. I don't think it's going to come down below $400. I would be surprised at this point if it came below $500. It's just been an incredible mover right now, and I don't see anything standing in its way. It's been one of the largest short squeezes I've seen in my time as a trader and investor. You know, it may be the biggest one that I will ever see in my life. So it's just really an incredible thing. You know, if you're still with me throughout the end of this video right now, first of all, thank you so much for hanging with me. Hopefully that I gave you some perspective, especially if you are skeptical about Tesla and where it's headed in the future. And hopefully, you know, if I put you at ease if you are an investor and you've stuck with it throughout this time. So if you like this video, certainly give me a thumbs up. I would appreciate it very, very much. And again, if you're watching towards the end of this video, I would appreciate you even more. You know, I put out a lot of information out there, and like I said, I wanted to give good perspective on why it's moving the way that it's moving and why short sellers are really having a tough time with this. So that's going to do it for me, guys. Again, please like and subscribe. I certainly would appreciate it. If you're interested in joining my community, the links are in the description down below, so please go check those out. Follow me on social media. Go check me out at Own the Chaos. And that's going to do it for me, guys. As always, I will see you all before the bell, and B. Smith is out. With Netflix coming out with its Q4 earnings this week, I'm a little concerned about the future of Netflix. I'm going to explain my reasonings why coming up.